Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What is up, guys? Welcome to our Succession after show. This is right after the season 3 premiere. RB3 and I just saw it. I'm excited to be doing this with you guys, obviously, because we've been such a big fan of Succession ever since the first season. RB3 and I have been on this for a minute. So now that season 3 is here, it's highly anticipated. Came out right at 6 p.m. Just like old school Game of Thrones. I'm excited to talk about this with you, RB3. RB3, how you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. I'm happy Succession is finally back. It's been such a long hiatus. I was talking about it in a group chat, but literally 2 years to the day that we did the meaning of the Succession season 1 and 2 when we put that out. So, and
I think you're the one who put me on it, right? You might have been.
I mean, I hope so. I think so. I mean, I like to think so. I mean, hopefully, right? I think so. I might have been. I mean, I think I put a lot of people onto Succession. I love Succession. Obviously, we talked about it a lot before in our podcast, and a lot of other things we talked about. But obviously, I just love his commentary on the super wealthy. I love how deep it is in terms of, you know, just everything that is going for, like the media conglomerates, how much control they have, how much individual power that can come with, you know, having these mega corporations, and then just like the personalities behind it. Like, these are some of the most funny characters like ever, and they're just all complete losers. So it's very interesting to see, for sure.
They really are, man. Can we just agree on one thing? There's been a debate around Succession Twitter for the past 2 seasons about, like, who's the best Roy and who's the good Roy, and I'm like, I don't think there is. I think they're all pretty bad. I think they all suck, man. So that's just my opinion. I think all the Roy family is pretty violent. We obviously got to see that a little bit more in this first episode, and in last season when Logan was just like heartless as hell. Obviously, he's always been heartless, but last season when he was just manipulating his own children for benefits and for gains as if it's some sort of profit margin is absolutely phenomenal. This is one of the best written shows I've seen in such a long time. It's so well written because it makes you realize how evil the things they're doing, but still adds a little bit of dark humor in there. And obviously we got to see that a little bit more with this season 3 premiere. But let's do it, man. Obviously everyone in the chat, Aaron the
all
dog.
All 2 of y'all, make sure I hit that like button. Make sure I hit that like button. Get more people going. Let people know this is our first time doing this Succession after show recap. Let people know. If you are Succession fans, if you're on Succession Twitter, we're also streaming this live on Twitter via my Twitter and also the First Cut TMO Twitter account. So if y'all are on Succession Twitter, make sure y'all retweet it, share people on, put people on, let people know we're doing this recap because it's good stuff. And if you are here, make sure you hit that like button. But yeah, the season 3 recap, man, it was a lot going on for sure.
Yeah, so I can run through this real quick, man. So let's do it. Season 3 opens up right where season 2 ended, which is that hearing that Kendall does for the press right before the shareholder meeting, which was he was supposed to take the fall and claim that everything that happened with the cruises was his responsibility. But instead, what he does is he opens up Pandora's box, goes after his father, and basically claims that everything that has gone on in the company has been through his father, which is 100% true. He claims that everything that is happening with the cruises actually happened, and that Mo is actually a close friend of his own father, Logan, which means he's behind the entire thing. So talk to me a little bit about what do you think about starting off right where we left off?
Yeah, I mean, it was an explosive season 2 finale. You know, it was definitely a place that you need to leave off for how big the moment was. And, you know, it's funny because I think when we left all that time ago, over 2 years ago, when the season 2 finale had aired, you know, we really didn't know like what kind of, like, we knew like like obviously that was really like the main thread that like had to be sewn up. There's still like obviously all these things about who's a homeboy, Ferris Bueller homie who's like trying to run for president, and then you have like and his girlfriend's like the playwright, and you have Tom and Shiv's conflicts with their marriage, and all these things are kind of like conflating, but that all kind of takes a break to like just how much trouble this situation is going to start causing. And it's interesting because like you see it in real time, like Kendall's like being locked out of the Waystar building, like as he's driving there. The PR lady's like talking to him. He's like, "Oh, get out the car, man. I don't need no hesitation." Like, no, I would have done the same thing too, though. Like, if you're like down
I would have done the
like,
exact same thing.
Yeah, like, come on, nah, you done. Get out. And then she walks away like all shameful. Like all the cameras like, "What did he say? What did he say?" That part was funny to me. But then him actually pulling up to his ex-wife's Rhea's house because he literally had nowhere else to go, not even his own place. Feels safe to him. So it's just fascinating to see. And I also think he probably felt like him pulling up to his ex-wife's house was like a good way of presenting himself as like a good feminist, you know. But it just ends up not playing out the way he thinks is playing out in his head. So
yeah, I love that scene with Carolina, who's actually like the only Latina girl on the show. I don't know if she's like Chilena or Argentinian, but Carolina. And I was like, Carolina's pretty loyal to Logan. I don't know if you can trust her, Kendall. And sure enough, he does the same thing. He's like, he says the same thing I'm saying as it's happening. And he's like, all right, out. I need someone I can trust. I can't do this. And then other homegirl comes in, who's his like secretary, his assistant.
That was just so funny. She walked in right after she walked.
Yeah, she did, which is almost like, I don't even know how they did that.
Yeah.
But I love that scene, and I think it's a perfect way to pick up. And I love how there's a connection between Greg and Kendall, because Greg is the one who has the actual copies of the files, or the actual physical files that were supposed to be burned away, but he kept a few. And Greg is the one who gave it to him last season, right before the hearing, so that he knew he had a backing, like a physical evidence backing to do it. Yeah. So he needs Greg on his side. And I'm like, the whole time.
He also likes Greg because Greg gets some coke too, but you know.
Yeah, and Greg is crazy too. So it's one of those things where it's like, if Greg was just a tiny bit smarter, bro, he could hook it up, bro. He could hit up his grandpa. He could he could go back on the deal that his grandpa was offering and maybe try to burn the entire Waystar family. But we later find out that that's not Kendall's actual final goal. But I definitely want to hit some notes that I hit here, because right after that, we pick up where Logan is basically calls up Kendall and basically tries to tell him to recant everything he did. And once Kendall says no, what'd you think of that whole conversation going back and forth with what he's saying and what they're saying to each other without actually talking to each other in the car?
Yeah, that was funny. I thought that was really funny, just hearing like her interpretation of like all of Roy's words, like, and like,
yeah, she said it verbatim.
Yeah, she tried to.
I was surprised.
She didn't get that last message in. I was really excited to see if she's gonna say that last.
The last F-bomb.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was crazy. I love. Obviously, the dialogue in this series is super sharp, and they find like creative ways to execute it. But I also think like, you know, obviously like there's the cinematography of it all too, right? Like how like kind of like gritty and kind of like unglamorous a lot of this stuff looks. And part of that scene comes into know in particular because it's like Roy is sitting in front of the window. His like face is like splashed with sunlight, almost like he's like bleached out, washed out, like as if he's like, you know, kind of just faded out into existence. Almost like, you know, he's almost cornered. He almost feels like, you know, he almost looks like sickly and dead, like off of the situation. And then his family's trying to come over and comfort him through, not comfort him, but I guess he's not even talking. He's just talking about his before, you know, that phone call with Kendall. He was talking crazy, just talking about his wife, doing all this stupid stuff. But then he starts to like click back in, and we start to see like that monster Logan come back out, and he's ready to take off heads. And I think it's just funny, like how they split up the teams. Like he's like, yo, we're gonna have the kids back in New York just to, you know, I think just to separate them, because I feel like he felt like the conversation in the season 2 finale where everybody was at the table trying to like cut each other's throats off wasn't like probably productive. So he wanted to court and see like out of the guys who obviously like are never going to be the CEOs, what are their thoughts of like who could be like that next position? That's a good one.
So that's exactly it too. And right before we get to that scene, I definitely want to mention the right before that scene where he's obviously talking about it with with Jerry and the entire team, telling them what to do. But yeah, right when we get to that scene, man, I think that's one of the best scenes in the episode. It's basically exactly what you said. It's basically like this tiny pitch meeting where Logan is trying to ask the big executives, is essentially who they are, which is Frank, Carl, and Tom, right, who they think should be CEO between Jerry, Roman, and Shiv. And dude, I don't know about you, bro. As I'm watching this the entire time, I was screaming my head off at Tom. And I'm like, bro, they're literally talking about who should be the next CEO. Your wife is like one of the options. Like, pitch your wife. Like, pitch your wife.
He ain't loving his wife.
He was like pissed at her. Yeah. He's pissed at her. But you can't be that pissed that are you seriously gonna like be like, oh yeah, I don't know, Shiv's fine. Yeah, sure. I like Jerry though. And I'm just like, dude, your wife could be CEO. Right. Just pitch her, bro.
Well, that was the sick part. He was like soft pitching even after he called her. Like that just goes.
He called her. I was like, you don't even have to call her, just do it. Yeah, but he called her, and I was like, fine. Yeah.
I can understand him not. I can understand the calling because like it definitely doesn't look good for like the Waystar people. So like you definitely don't want to like have your wife on like a burning ship. But at the same time, again, I'm not convinced. Like I don't think he just like doesn't like her. Like I think he just wants out of it. Like I think he wants out of this whole situation in total. Like I think him propositing and him kind of pushing for Shiv to be a CEO, that almost inadvertently like puts some more into it. And I think that's kind of why he's like a little more hesitant to kind of push for it, So I don't know. I kind of see like, yo, just go for your wife. Like, why not? But at the same time, like she cheated on him. She asked for an open marriage or open relationship. Like
she's
on their
shitty to him too.
Yeah, she talks to him crazy. When they were cutting each other's throats at that dinner table, she was like,
she threw Tom under the bus.
Thinking about Tom, and then she was like,
she's like, oh yeah,
get rid of Tom.
Yeah, like, get Tom. What? Tom's perfect. Let's do it to Tom. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So he's paying her back. I get it, but at the same time, I'm just like, bro, like it's a layup. Like literally, just make one tiny pitch to Logan, and even Logan's like, are you serious, dude? You're not gonna pitch your damn wife? Like he's like, Roman, really, Roman? You like Roman? Like. Right. What about Shiv, Tom? And he's like, yeah, Shiv's. Yeah. He's like, really, dude? Just pitch your wife. And I really do feel like all Tom had to do was like a tiny little pitch. And I think he would have been down. I think Logan would have been like, all right, fine, Shiv it is.
But Roman messed it up himself though. Roman being a little baby trying to call.
Oh no!
Like I was like, I knew as soon as he called, like he never called trying to beg for a spot. That never ever works. Like,
but then saying like at the end of it being like, I want it, but if you want Jerry, that's cool too. And I'm just like, oh, don't say that. Just say like, I want it. I'm the best. I'm number one. F everyone else. And I would have respected that way more than saying like, yo, Jerry's cool too. As soon as he said Jerry's cool too, he was like, all right, he's out.
Yeah, you're right, right.
But yeah, that entire scene, man, the entire time, I'm like, Tom, you literally could have had Shiv be the CEO. All you had to do was pitch a little bit and you could have had it. And even she's like, yeah, pitch me. Damn, like pitch your head off and like throw my name out there and tell them why I'd be awesome at it. And he did not do that a single time. And I think that's going to come back to bite him because I think either Frank or Carl or even Logan might tell Shiv like, hey, he didn't say your name at all.
Well, he might have done some stuff off camera because I feel like they did like leave some stuff like to the imagination between like the scenes. But I don't even know if like Logan was really, because Logan ends up picking Shiv like eventually, but he ends up backing away from it and ends up going with Jerry eventually. But part of me wonders like, did he even really pick Shiv to begin with? Did he just do that to just throw like a wrench into the whole family situation, or was that a real genuine choice? Like I think he really does want a kid to have it. Like, and I definitely don't think, I think he would have been cool with Roman or Shiv. Like he clearly isn't cool with Kendall. Like even before the whole thing happened, he wouldn't have had Kendall do it. So it's like now it's like now out of between those two, who do you have? And frankly, you got You got Shiv, who's like inexperienced, also a little flaky. She used to, if you forget in season 1, she used to be on the left. And that's why I think, people got to remember, this is a hard right-wing family. Like, they run a right-wing news operation, and she was on the left. Like, that already, like, she has way more allies to be against Logan than before.
But she still plays those cards, too.
She plays, and that's why she has the lawyer connection, too.
She's literally the Ivanka Trump. She's like, I'm progressive. I like all people. Even though I work for this crazy family that's not. Yeah.
But in the meantime, Roman is too much of like a little baby kid. And I think he would have had a good shot. He had a good shot at the end of season 2 after he came back from the kidnapping situation and or the hostage situation. And he could have been straight and just been like a cool dude. But, again, he's sucking Jerry's tit all the time and trying to be weird with her. And that's ultimately going to be his downfall too. So it's kind of just interesting seeing what each of their character downfalls are gonna be just based on who they are. They have the most insane bravado. Even Roman was like, oh yeah, we could just get rid of Kendall. We could even murder him. We could even set up to assassinate him. He threw that out. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But they're just some cutthroat people. So
yeah. So let's get to that scene real quick too. Kind of backtracking a little bit. He suggests, by he I mean Roman suggests to just eliminate Kendall. Fully, character assassination, just tell him that he's insane, he's a crack addict, bring up his past, bring up his history, bring up everything he's ever done, and just insanity claim, which is kind of, dude, you imagine killing people on a cruise ship and having a bunch of rape cases against you, and the first thing you think of is just tell the person who says it that he's insane. The vileness of this family, bro, is so vile. I'm just like, bro, that's all you think about is just yourself and how much money you can make and how much you're going to lose. And even Roman suggests that should they cooperate with the DOJ, and he says no, and they should just claim, politics. It's just politics. It's just fake news. It's just BS. And he should fight that as well instead of just cooperating with them, which again goes to show you how self-absorbed they are, that they really do think that they're the final law, that they're above it all, that they're literally above the DOJ. And it's just, Roman's disgusting. He's not, he's barely a human.
Right. Well, I also just love Roman's barely a human. I don't think he smells good. But also Logan, I also love that scene when they're like, yeah, can we just call the attorney general? Oh, we can call the DOJ. No, let's get the top guy. Let's get the president.
That's president, yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what? That's the kind of conversations we can start having?
Yeah.
And they can get the president. They're talking on the phone with that one lady. I don't know if it was another Congress lady or something like that.
I think it was a secretary of something or a congresswoman. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Also, I totally forgot about season 2. They had that Bernie Sanders stand-in, the dude who was the Bernie looking dude who was totally against them. I really want to see that character return to take down Logan as well. He has a personal vendetta against him. And I don't know. There's so much I also really this whole episode was just phone call after phone call after phone call. I love the phone call conversation between I just love Kendall calling everybody individually. He's just cold calling Shiv, come over Shiv, come over to their side. And then he calls somebody else too. I forgot.
Frank. He called Frank up first.
Oh yeah. Frank literally walking right next to Logan. I'm like, yo, this is ballsy. But yeah, and also getting the Lisa lady to be his lawyer, and also getting that PR team. That's also something that was Kendall is definitely. We talk about the self-sabotage between the other siblings. He is setting himself up for the worst kind of self-sabotage.
He keeps shitting the bed, bro.
Yeah,
Kendall, you literally have open layup, no defenders. You're at the rim. Basket is right there. It's an open layup basket, and he still misses the layup. He was like the Phoenix Mercury today. Shout out to Mercury. He kept missing layups. I was like, bro, you have a layup, Kendall. All you have to do is shut up, let these ladies kick ass because this is what they do, and he keeps self-sabotaging himself and thinking it's all about himself. He literally is like, yeah, it's about me, right? Right, guys? I'm pretty cool, aren't I? He kept saying that to everyone this episode. And I'm like, bro, it's not about you, Kendall. It's not about you, bro. Like, stop it. Oh, I want to be on his side so bad, but I'm just like, oh.
You want to be on his side, but you know,
because I hate Logan.
We all want to see, like, because he's been abused by Logan, like, repeatedly.
Logan is like the emperor, bro. Like, he's pure evil.
But you know, and Kendall's like less evil, but at the same time, you hope for Kendall to do better, because he randomly pulls up to his ex-wife house. You know, I'm like, okay, cool. That's a red flag, but you know, maybe there's good intentions. Okay, then he hires the woman PR team. It's like, great, you know, you're making the right steps, like, about to do it. Then he gets in the meeting with him, and he is completely like cutting him off. Won't even let him get through the pitch. Won't even let him, you know, talk, do anything. So, you know, like you said, talking about himself. Then he gets to the meeting with Lisa, the lawyer, who by this point she had already said no to Shiv, like even before she had the meeting with Kendall. So like she already knew what side she was going to be on. But then like when she's in the room with him, he can't help but to be like this weird coked out like weirdo, like, oh, I'm telling you, like, this is gonna be so great. You guys are selling me so hard on it. And like meanwhile trying to run around, kiss like 8 babies and like manage this entire household, and just thinking if he just surround himself with a bunch of women, things are just gonna get better. So I don't know. It's just weird. He's just being crazy right now.
Well, he's right, but the problem is it goes all the way back to, I don't know, was it season 1 or season 2? Remember when he was pitching, when a company was like a tech company was pitching to him, and it was that really pretty girl who he tried to hook up with. Remember that one time? Who he wanted, and she was pitching to him, and they went to a party afterwards. It was the crazy. It was Tom's birthday or something. I think it was somebody. Yeah, it was a birthday party. Or Greg or Roman, one of their birthdays. But he kept talking over them, and he kept being like, I like your ideas, but I have another one. Here, let me think of it. And he kept doing it so much that they're like, you know what? We're good. We don't want to work with you. And he was like, what? What's wrong? What's your problem, man? And it's like, dude, if you just shut up, and if you just like invest in good companies and in good people and in smart women who know what they're doing, you would actually find success. But you always have to put yourself first and make yourself the face of everything. And you're right, that scene with Lisa, he still kept doing it. I was like, dude, stop. Just let her do her thing. Let her cook. And then he said, oh yeah, I'm your puppet. You know, I'll do what you tell me. And I'm like, bro, I doubt that. I think that's going to be a thing all season.
For sure. And we all know, and I mean, listen, we know how, I mean, I hate to say it, you know, it's a public platform, but, you know, I hate to say it, but sometimes, you know, white men have a hard time taking directions from black women. You know what I mean? It's just tough for them. So it might be, I could definitely see that being some sort of conflict. By the way, I do got to say, it was funny. I was talking to my mom about this, like literally an hour ago, right before the show started, 2 hours ago. And I was like, yeah, you know, this is like the uber wealthy. They're so rich. Only real people of color you see in the shows are like, you know, like the servers or like that one Asian homie or the one Indian dude who's like one of their like investors or whatever. But like there's literally like that's the
Stewie.
only Stewie, yeah. But there's literally only like 3 types of people of color that we get in the show. But I think in this season, at least, like they're showing us like, okay, he has that. He had the assistant in previous seasons, I guess. But
the assistant, she's been there. She's also in Why the Last Man. Shout out to her.
Oh yeah, shout out to that show. Yeah, R.I.P. to that show.
R.I.P.
Yeah, but you know, she's having a more prominent role. I'm curious to see with Lisa. How that's going to play out, because again, I think she is a powerful person. The way she stood up to Shiv like that, I mean, Shiv's no easy person to back down to, especially when she comes in with that kind of energy. I'm like, dang, she was trying to bark her
Shiv
down.
She did the same thing, bro. Shiv, every time people try to say something positive about Shiv, and I'm like, bro, Shiv is just as bad. She's awful. Like she's like, yeah, let's talk about me. By the way, even though these women died and got raped, but let's talk about me and how I need protection. And she's like, I don't really do that. And she's like, well, you're going to do it for me. And I'm just like, who do you think you are? Oh,
yeah.
Keep going, by the way.
No, I mean, yeah, literally. And she pulls up like, if I'm a lawyer and any potential client or even friend comes up to me with that kind of energy, like, yo, man, I everything's crazy right now. I just need to, there's so many things going on. I need to hire you, but also I want to make sure that you have, like, what are you talking about? And that's an automatic no. Like, that's the biggest red flags. But she felt like the maximum amount of pressure because she felt like she had to deliver on getting that lawyer for her dad. Like, she felt like that was the only option for Logan. And that's the same pressure we saw in the season 2 finale when Kendall had to deliver on getting the investor who used to be his friend. I forget his name.
Stewie?
That's Stewie. That's Stewie. Yeah. And he basically tells him, like, F off. And this is like the same kind of situation. The same kind of repercussions happen. Logan looks at, her not being able to deliver the lawyer and just cuts the chain. Just goes right on to Jerry. So I think that's just really funny. I also love how as soon as, like, Jerry gets the call for it, she tells Roman, and then Roman, like, immediately calls Shivs and, like, rubs it in her face. There's so many, like, juicy moments that, like, I'm definitely excited for them to set up for upcoming episodes, for sure.
Yeah, what pisses me off still, I got to go back to Greg, and obviously I want to ask you who was the standout of the episode, so keep that in mind as I bring up Greg real quick. Just because I feel like, man, Greg has so many hookups. He's like, obviously he's the one kid who's like super privileged kid, a white kid who grew up in an environment where he's in opportunity, where he has opportunities, and he could just be an executive assistant to the head of a TV department, which is obviously Tom. Tom is head of TV for ATN. And to me, Greg is the guy who's like, I think he's missed the most layups out of anyone. He has so many layups that last season, in the almost second to last episode, when he denied his grandfather's request, all of this could have been avoided. He could have had his grandfather's wealth, and he could have been literally on the opposite side fighting the Waystar family and the Roy family, because his grandfather basically said, pick your side. Like, if you join my side, we can go after them, and I can give you literally half of my wealth, if not all of it. And I'll give you all my inheritance. Yeah. And he chose literally Logan because Logan was like, yeah, I got you, man. Sure, maybe. Logan lies out of his teeth, bro. Like, you can't believe him, but your grandpa is literally your grandpa. And I was like, bro, so many missed layups for Greg. He has hookups on the opposite side, like literally on the left side, and he just doesn't make it every time. That's
funny. I totally forgot about that dude. That's definitely a potential person that could come back to that. Kendall.
I want him to
poach. But it's funny. It makes me wonder, because even though his character, like, hated Logan, he still, like, ended up voting for him and when they were trying to overthrow the company against Logan. He still ended up voting for his brother. So part of me wonders, like, how loyal is he going to be to what side of the fight he's going to be on in this case? You know what I mean? Is he going to side with his actual brother on this one, or is he going to actually go with Kendall? Or I don't even know how that kind of thing would go. But I also, who's the actor? That was a great actor. There's an actor who
I forget his name.
Yeah, he's like in a lot of stuff. But yeah, but I will love, again, like, I think the way that Kendall, the only way Kendall is going to be able to win, like, this thing is he got to stay off the drugs. That's number one. He definitely got to stay off that. He definitely has to just, like, shut up. Like, he's the only one in the family who, like, can shut up. Like, I feel like Roman, or I guess Roman can shut up too sometimes. They all have those, like, moments of, like, vulnerability, but, like, he really needs to, he's on a 10 and he needs to take it to a 2, like, full show. And then the third most crucial thing is, they really have to, like, this whole, like, PR thing spin that they're trying to do with him. Like, I think they use this kind of, like, tactic a lot in, like, real world stuff and all that. They just have, like, if he ends up going on TV and doing, like, interviews and stuff like that, that's going to become a problem too, because you can easily see through the BS. And I think you see through the BS of a lot of these characters, but I think Shiv is probably the best at, like, hiding it, which is probably why she's the best contender to be CEO. But I don't know. I'm just excessively curious as to how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, 2 more things before we take off today, because I think we've covered most of it. Three more things. First thing is kind of going off that. I'm with you, man. I don't know about Logan's brother because apparently the actor's name is James Cromwell.
That's right.
By the way,
LA Confidential.
Thank
I lost
you,
the
Nicholas
questions.
Lewis.
I lost a James Cromwell question. Yeah,
Schmodown?
Yeah. It's the second time.
By the way, so when he meets with Lisa, the lawyer, he says he wants to basically do all this without implicating himself and without losing the company. He wants to basically do a takeover of the company using legality and lawsuits against his father. He wants his father to step back. So he doesn't necessarily want to go all the way, which is kind of, I don't know about you, man, but I was kind of disappointed. I was kind of hoping he was going to burn it all down, Joker style. Straight up, like
he wants to
implicate himself, like just be like, F it. I'm just going all the way, burning the entire company down. That would have been what I wanted. I wanted that, obviously. I thought he was going to fess up to everything. I thought he was going to be like, yeah, he manipulated me. He's insane. He's done all this, and I deserve punishment just as much as he does. But he's like, no punishment for me. I want to be in charge of the company, which goes to show you his greed. And is also a note that I took here. This is what I basically took from the episode, RB3. Check this out. I said, all the Roy family are so self-absorbed that they only think about themselves, not the victims, not the crimes, not anything about their wealth or how they can use their wealth. They just use their wealth to cover up their crimes. Won't even cooperate with the DOJ. That was my big takeaway. I was like, bro, you're using all this money for more lawyers and more cover-ups and more stuff and more payouts. And I'm just like, oh, it's just a cycle, man. It's crazy.
Right. And then at the end of the day, Logan's still going to end up stepping down from CEO anyway. So it's like they did all of this, like they did all this plotting and planning for what? For nothing. He's still holed up in some faraway country that they can't.
He said he was going to pull the strings, though.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like, you know what? How many strings can he pull? Like, you can't buy all the government. He only got that much money. I mean, maybe he does. I don't know. But see, that's also the thing too. That's interesting. Like how much bribery, how far bribery could like really take you in these kind of situations, right? Because like it's clear that like there's one, I forgot who the lady said on the phone, but there's one person in the government. They're like, oh yeah, she's a new face. You're gonna have a real tough time against her. I'm super curious to see who. I don't know if that was like a government official. I forgot who that exact person's or character's name is. But you can't, you know, I could see a situation where they're going to try and pay her off. I mean, that conversation they were having on speaker almost seemed like a low-key bribery kind of situation. I never really heard one of those conversations in real life. I'm like, dang, is that really how
I'll bet they happen, bro.
Yeah. Is that really
look at our past president, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes. That's how it goes down. But, you know, I'm curious. Like that could also be another level of implication that could get in drug. Because they said at the end, you know, the two guys, Frank and old boy Carl. Yeah, like you know, there's all 12 departments. The SEC, you know, the FBI, all these like different departments.
DOJ, the Senate, the
FBI, all knocking at his door. It's gonna look ugly for him. So. This might be a rock bottom for Logan. It could be a rock bottom for Logan. It could be a rock bottom for Kendall too. I mean, you know, he might not come out on top of this too. You said something one of your notes before you said that quote though about Kendall. I totally forgot what you said though. Man, I forgot. It reminded me of something. Man, forget about it.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting how the show kind of paints the picture of like everyone has a price. But it's literally about like selling your soul to the point of money. I swear, bro, this is like the real life Squid Game. Succession is. It's literally Squid Game, except on the other side, just following these characters. But I really do feel like it really talks about wealth and wealth disparity and how the super wealthy, uber wealthy, deal out their own type of punishment and crimes and how they pretend that they're so clean that they have everything under control. I definitely want to bring up the fact that Logan officially picked Jerry as the next CEO of the company, mainly because Shiv didn't work out and because Tom didn't pitch Shiv. If he just pitched him, he could have helped. And because obviously Roman gave his sign off and basically resigned from that position by doing that. So Jerry, bro, I gotta be honest, man. I rewatched a little bit of last season. Jerry's a monster. Can we just be honest and just like, remember that scene in I think it was episode 8 or 9 last season. It might have been episode 9 where they're having the meeting where the whistleblower is telling all the stories about the women who were raped and thrown overboard and all that. And Jerry comes in and she's like, all right, we claim that these women were awful women and hookers and work. And she's saying some awful stuff. And I'm just like, Jerry's a monster. Like, she has no heart.
Right.
Like, she's absolutely ruthless. She's like, oh yeah, these women suck, throw them under the bus, tell them this and that. And I was just like, oh my God, Jerry, she's evil.
Yeah, that's part of the system she's in. It's part of the system. But I do think that was a funny line. That was a funny line too, though, in the beginning when Logan was like, oh, who's that lawyer who helped out with the hookers? Oh, you mean the traffic sex workers? Yeah.
The ones that we got.
Yeah. Also, shout out. I didn't even know until I looked up right now, but that's Sanaa Lathan who's playing Lisa. So shout out to Sanaa Lathan.
Nice.
And damn, I had a real point about Kendall, and I literally can't remember it right now. But I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna remember it in a second.
Oh man, I don't know, man. You're running out of time. Anyways, let's talk about our standout of the episode. Our main player. I don't know. We're gonna come up with a clever title for this, but who do you think was the standout of the episode?
Standout episode for me. That's a little tricky because like there's so many.
It could be in good or a bad way.
Shout out to Naomi for just coming in and just like destroying a household and opening some $500 or some 500-year-old like bottle of wine that homegirl's grandfather gave to her. Right. She might be the MVP for me. Like, just coming in and like hearing that like toe curling like scream from the back like and then Kendall walks in and he sees like his ex in distress and his new girl like pouring this wine and all this, and she's like he's like, oh wow, look at me surrounded by brilliant women. I ain't gonna lie, I laughed so hard. Like that was the hardest laugh I think like I had in a long time. Like
this episode.
Yeah, but that was that's the standout to me. Shout out to Naomi for having 2 seconds of screen time and just totally taking the cake.
Yeah, this show is obviously known for its crazy lines, like it's super ironic and ridiculous lines. I think the one that stood out to me was Roman in the beginning where he's like, hey, Daddy, you want me to come with you? He's like, you want to suck my dick? And he closes the door and he's like, he says to his son after the sexual assault claims. And I was like, all right, Roman, he still got bars. That's probably the bar of the episode for me. Bar of the episode. Let's make that a theme if we do this weekly. Bars of the episode. No, but my MVP or my standout, I'll give it to new number 1 assistant, bro, Jess. Played by Juliana Canfield, who plays Beth in Why the Last Man. Watch Why the Last Man, even though it's not coming back for season 2. But shout out to Jess, man. She's like literally, it's that trio. When they were laughing in the van and they were just like, yo, we're doing this, guys. This is crazy. And it's just Greg, Logan, and Jess, the assistant. And I'm just like, yo, this is the trio, bro. Let's do it. Let's wreck shop. Let's do it up. We're going after the biggest company in the world with like 3 people. And 2 of them are like 25. And the other one's like 35. So shout out to them. So I'll say that is my my MVP of the episode. If anyone in the chat has theirs, they can obviously give those a shout out as well. Will McLean says, what happened to Marcia? She disappeared. Yeah, she did disappear, huh? We haven't seen her in a minute.
Oh, that's the wife, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he wake up in the morning kind of like distraught? Like, where is she? Like, kind of.
So that whole thing that might come back a little bit later on. And obviously the final scene of the episode shows Logan kind of walking out of the hotel a little bit delirious, kind of a throwback to remember that for very first episode, the very first scene of the show. I don't know if you remember, bro, when he's kind of losing his mind, waking up in the middle of the night and just like peeing in the corner. Kind of showing you that he's like literally losing his mind, losing his marbles, which I actually think that's a really clever commentary. And this will be the last thing I'll say, clever commentary on how the super old and the super wealthy are tend to have this tend to lose grip on reality, not just because of their wealth, but because of their age. And yet we give them so much power. And we talked about this last year with last year's elections. Like, look at Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Like, they're old as dirt. And we're still giving them all this executive decision power. And it's one of those things where like
Joe can like barely string together 2 sentences. Like,
right. And same with Biden, bro. Like Biden can barely, is that who you said? Or
Joe. Yeah. Joe. I call him Uncle Joe.
And it's like, we give all these old people, like old people still run this shit, bro. Like look at Hollywood. They're still old ass dudes who run this shit. Trust me. And it's a little reminder of like, they lose grip on reality and we kind of let it go, even though they have so much influence and power over people's lives and the environment and like actual life-changing decisions. And we just let it slide because they're super wealthy. And it's like, bro, I don't know, man. I just think that's a really clever commentary on like, you're losing your mind, but everyone's cool with it because, oh yeah, he's just, he's dad, he's crazy. And it's like, no, he's clearly insane and the most power hungry, maniacal dude on the planet. Like, no. Any final thoughts?
I am trying to look up, you're talking about old people running stuff.
You still keep trying to look up the Kindle?
No. I'm trying to look up. Shout out to our fellow our California Senator Dianne Feinstein, oldest senator in history at age 88.
Oh my God!
88. We have an 88-year-old representing California in the United States Senate, y'all. Just know that. Just know that. They say we're like the woke, progressive, young, whatever. Like we have an 88-year-old representing our state. Probably got dementia. They say like
probably
there's literally members of Congress who have like secret prescriptions like for dementia in like Washington D.C. Like
that's such a really archaic thing to do. It's like, oh, make it till they die, and it's like the court. I'm talking about the Supreme Court. And it's like, what? Why? That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, guys, we're getting too far deep into the weeds. Shout out to Jerry, a new CEO. Jerry just as bad as the rest, and still old too. Still old. Didn't go with the youngins.
Yeah, she's a little younger.
But still, she's not Shiv age or whatever.
But Shiv, I mean, listen, if Shiv still got a shot, like I still think Shiv has a shot. She also, I could see Shiv, hopping to the other side too, though. I could see Shiv maybe joining her brother because she seemed a little more empathetic towards Kendall than Roman did, at least. Like, so I don't know.
But she's the one who threw Kendall under the bus last season, or under the boat on the boat. Yeah. When they said either Tom or Kendall, and she's like, please, like, let it be Kendall, not Tom, because that's literally what Logan said. He's like, Tom or Kendall, and she's like, Kendall, like it's got to be him, and she threw him under, obviously over her husband. But still, like, that's kind of cruel. Like, that's still your brother. You can't just do that to him. She could have suggested, what was it, like Greg Sprinkles is what they said. Greg Sprinkles. They were like Frank and Greg Sprinkles or something like that. And I was like, all right.
Poor Greg.
Also, shout out to Shiv, bro. Shiv's a dime, bro. Like, I just got to be honest. Shiv's a dime. I'm sorry. Yeah. And still, she's vile, and I would never.
I was gonna say,
she's not for me, not my type. But still.
Oh, we didn't see a lot of old girl who like produced the play a lot in this episode, but she's one of my favorite characters too.
Connor, we gotta talk about Connor. Connor has to flip. Did you notice that scene where he's kind of pissed, and I'm like, bro, if Connor flips, like we can have Connor. He's not gonna do much, but still, like Connor has to flip.
Connor should flip. Like, I mean,
he should flip. Turn on your dad, bro. He's like the most ignored and the most stepped on out of all of them.
That Connor
he's kooky, but
Connor said at the season 2 finale, like he was like, "Yo, Dad, can I borrow like $100 million?" And then his dad was like, "Oh, maybe, but you can't run for president no more." That was the funniest thing to me. It was like, you gotta drop the campaign, and then we'll sort it out. I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, shout out to the con heads, bro.
Yeah, the con heads. They're making all those crazy racist, like, dog whistling memes. Like, that's crazy. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Connor has to flip. I think that's coming because they kind of hinted at it when they were like, you stay here, Connor, because you're a good little boy. And I'm just like, ooh, Connor's going to flip hard. And he might bring dirt. He might bring like old school, like my dad was abusive. He beat me. He did this. He did like, he might bring some stuff out that might like drown his dad even more. Like I'm down for it, bro. I just want Logan to go. I want him behind bars. Screw the whole retire thing. Behind bars, bro.
It's just
all
crazy.
or nothing.
It's crazy how Connor's not even in the conversations, like for the CEOs. Like
they left him,
yeah. They totally like don't even think about him in that kind of context. Yeah,
shout out to Connor and his wife and her play. I hope it gets better reviews. But either way, that was our review of Succession Season 3's premiere. Let us know what you thought in the comments down below. If you're watching this after you just watched it, let us know in the comments what you think of this episode. Who do you think was the standout of the show? What do you think of Jerry being CEO? All that good stuff. Either way, RB3, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Director RB3.
You can find me at Squad Leader Ace and follow us at First Cut TMO. And maybe possibly this might be happening week to week, guys. We'll see how it goes depending on our schedules, but we'll try our best. Either way, guys, for the First Cut crew and the Succession After crew, we're peacing out. Peace.
Only one can remain. It's either me or you. Only one can remain. It's either me or you. Let me take you out the equation. It's either me or you. You do the math. Only one can remain.